My name is Ray Holloway, and 10 years ago, I thought I married the love of my life, Celeste Whitmore. We met at Tulane in New Orleans. Her a rising star in digital branding, me a quiet, soft-spoken software engineer. We bought a place in Collierville, Tennessee, and built what I believed was a life full of shared dreams and mutual respect. But I was wrong. Very, very wrong. 3 weeks ago, I was updating Celeste's new iPhone. She'd been whining for months that her old one was too slow for serious work. So I ordered the new model and synced everything through her iCloud. I was logged in while she showered, just making sure her business accounts transitioned smoothly. Then her laptop exploded with notifications. At first, I thought it was client messages. Her job always kept her buzzing. But one preview caught my eye. Operation Exit Ray. My heart stuttered. I clicked. It was a WhatsApp group. Celeste, her sisters Lacey and Ivy, and their mother, Delilah. The latest message? Lacey, he actually thinks Saturday is a real celebration. What an idiot. Then Ivy, movers are booked. Storage Unit 19B on Highland Avenue. Mom already has the keys. Delilah chimed in, my lawyer's ready. He'll be served with divorce papers at the party. Imagine his face. Then Celeste added the final blow. Can't wait to film it for TikTok. We'll title it, Watch This Clueless Husband Get Kicked Out. 10 years wasted on this loser. Finally free. They called it an anniversary celebration. It was a setup for public humiliation. But what they didn't know, I saw everything. Screenshotted everything. Every cruel laugh. Every detailed plan. Every smug message. They've been orchestrating this betrayal for over 6 months. But I've been preparing for 4 years. I'd always felt off, like I wasn't one of them. At family dinners, Delilah treated me like furniture. Lacey often mocked my job as keyboard peasant work. Ivy once asked Celeste, right in front of me, why she hadn't upgraded yet. Well, I didn't know back then. Celeste only married me because she got pregnant in college. Miscarried early. Never told me. But they all knew. And they all hated me for trapping her. So while they were planning my eviction, I'd been organizing my defense. My finances? Locked down. My assets? In my name only. Our house. Bought with my business income. Her name was never on it. Our accounts? Monitored daily. Even that storage unit? I'd already known about it weeks before. Because Ivy, in her stupidity, used my old credit card. The same one I let her borrow when she moved last year. And I track every single charge. They've been moving my belongings little by little. Books, tools, clothes, thinking I wouldn't notice. I noticed. I replaced every item with junk. Cracked monitors, broken furniture, shredded papers, old tech from college. Then I moved the real valuables to a secure storage unit 2 counties over. But I wasn't done. Celeste was still smiling like a snake, planning our big night. She made me breakfast that Saturday, gushing about how much she loved me. About 10 beautiful years. She had no idea the ambush was already falling apart. At 7 p.m., I followed her to what she said was a surprise dinner. We pulled up to her sister Lacey's house. Lights on, cars in the driveway. Just one quick stop, she chirped. Then we head to dinner. I walked into a room full of people grinning like devils. Ivy had her phone out, already filming. Delilah stepped forward with the envelope. That's when I said, before you hit record, you might want to check Unit 19B. The shift in their faces? Instant. Celeste turned ghost white. Lacey froze. Ivy's phone slipped from her hand. I pulled out my phone and began reading. Their own words. Every message. Every plan. Every insult. I read them out loud. Delilah exploded first. This is illegal. You violated our privacy. Celeste shrieked. You're spying on me? You're sick. I just smiled. You wanted a show? You got one. They shouted. They denied. They panicked. But I wasn't done yet. I told them about the moving company, how it was redirected to a locked, empty unit, how I'd been recording phone conversations, how I was ready, legally and financially, to destroy every single one of them if they tried to retaliate. That was Saturday. Monday morning, I made my move. Celeste's marketing agency? Gone. I emailed 3 of her biggest clients, people I'd freelance for behind the scenes. I offered them better rates, full in-house support. By 10 a.m., Her firm lost 65% of its revenue. Her boss called an emergency meeting. Shaking, Lacey worked for a luxury condo management company. What she didn't know, her boss, Marcus, was my former college roommate. I called in a favor. Reported her for using company vehicles to move personal belongings and access client data for non-work reasons. By noon, she was suspended pending an investigation. Ivy, she catered events, mostly under the table. I posted screenshots of her gloating about ruining my life. Tagged every local planner, florist, and venue in Memphis. Said nothing defamatory, just her words. By Tuesday, she'd lost her bookings. And Delilah? Well, Delilah kept her late husband's construction company open for tax benefits. But her license had long expired. I submitted a complaint to the Tennessee Contractors Board and the Department of Revenue. By Wednesday, they were investigating her for fraud. But I wasn't finished. I filed eviction notices. That house. Mine. I had the title. Celeste had 30 days to leave. Lacey? Her condo lease was terminated. Ivy's rental agreement? Pulled by the owner after I shared screenshots of her TikTok revenge content. Delilah? The tax investigation triggered a foreclosure notice. She had 14 days to settle over $60,000 in back penalties. By Friday, they were sleeping in their cars. Friday night, I sat alone in my living room. It was quiet, too quiet, considering the chaos I knew was unfolding across town. I hadn't heard from Celeste all day, but that silence was shattered around 10:43 p.m. when my phone started buzzing nonstop. First, a call from an unknown number, ignored. Then another. Then a text from Ivy. Ray, please. I'm begging you. We were stupid. You made your point. Can we talk? Followed by one from Lacey. You win. We get it. But this is ruining our lives. Please just stop. Then the bombshell. Celeste sent a 9-minute voice memo. She was sobbing. Not just tears. Hyperventilating. Gasping like someone being dragged underwater. Ray, I didn't mean for this to go so far. I was hurt. Pressured. Mom and my sisters, they convinced me you were holding me back. That I'd wasted my life. But I didn't want to lose you. Not really. Her voice cracked into a whisper. Please don't throw me away like this. I listened. Then I replayed her earlier message from the group chat. Can't wait to film this loser's face. 10 years wasted. Finally free. That was the real her. And I hadn't even delivered the final blow. See, while they were groveling, trying to survive one wave of consequences, I quietly filed civil restraining orders. Not because I felt physically unsafe, but because I knew Celeste and Delilah had previously used fake harassment claims against people they didn't like. I wasn't taking chances. The hearing was set for Monday morning. I also emailed the IRS. Delilah had been reporting her dead husband's business as active to keep tax write-offs. But the tax filings didn't match any actual labor or payments. Fraud. And I had evidence. On Sunday afternoon, my doorbell rang. All 4 of them. They looked like a collapsed dynasty. Lacey's designer purse was dirty and half-zipped. Ivy's hair was matted. Delilah was wearing the same pearls she always wore. But the paint on her nails was chipped and her mascara was streaked down her cheeks. Celeste looked the worst. Eyes swollen, lips trembling, shoulders slumped like they were holding invisible bricks. She opened her mouth, but I beat her to it. You came to laugh at me once, I said. You planned to watch me crumble in front of your phones. I wonder, what does it feel when the camera is pointed at you? No, she whispered. Please, Ray. We weren't thinking. We made a mistake. Mistake. I stepped forward. Delilah, did you think about your mortgage when you said you'd make me homeless by 6 p.m.? Lacey, did you think about your job when you called me a stain on the Whitmore name? Ivy, did you consider your catering dreams when you giggled about filming my pain for views? They said nothing. I could hear a muffled sob from Celeste. Then she said something that changed everything. Ray, I'm pregnant. Everything stopped. Even the wind outside seemed to pause. Excuse me, I said, jaw clenched. I found out the day before the party, she said quietly. It wasn't part of the plan. I hadn't told anyone. I didn't know how to. I was going to ruin your life. And now I might have ruined my child's too. I didn't move. Didn't blink. I looked at her stomach, then back in her bloodshot eyes. Part of me wanted to believe her. But the smarter part? That part asked, what if it's another trap? Celeste stood there trembling, hands over her stomach like a shield. Pregnant. My mind raced. Was this real? Or just a nuclear-level manipulation to soften me? I kept my voice calm. When did you find out? Friday morning, she whispered. The morning you started all this. I took the test alone. I didn't know how to feel. That's when Delilah stepped forward. Ray, if there's a baby involved now, don't you think we should stop this before someone gets really hurt? I turned to her, slowly. You mean someone like me? Like the man you're going to toss out of his home with a camera in his face? That kind of hurt. She backed off, her words wilting in her throat. I invited only Celeste inside. The others were told to leave. She followed me in, barefoot and exhausted. I noticed she flinched at every creak of the floor, like she was waiting for me to explode. Instead, I offered her a seat and water. Is it mine? I asked. She looked offended. Of course. But I wasn't asking for theatrics. I asked for proof. I want a test. And I want you to take it under supervision. No fucks. No distractions. I also want a paternity test after. You've lied too many times for me to take anything at face value. Her lip quivered. She nodded. That night, she stayed in the guest room. I locked my door, changed the code, hid every financial file. I wasn't stupid. Monday came. I watched from the courthouse security cameras as Celeste arrived for her hearing on the restraining order. She looked small in the vast marble hallway. The judge ruled in my favor, based on screenshots, audio, and Celeste's own words. The order required that all communication go through attorneys, and it was temporary unless she violated it. That evening, I got an email from Lacey. She had been fired, permanently. Then one from Ivy. Her catering account was flagged by the local Better Business Bureau after multiple complaints surfaced from people I'd quietly spoken to about her unlicensed food handling practices. But the worst was Delilah. Her family business was officially declared in noncompliance. The state hit her with a $25,000 penalty and froze her accounts pending audit. The foreclosure date on her home moved up. They were unraveling faster than I could have hoped. But Celeste? She was still in my house. Tuesday night, I found her in the living room, staring at our wedding photo. I didn't just destroy us, she said. I destroyed me. I didn't respond. Then she handed me something, her phone. She unlocked it and placed it in my hand. I deleted the chat. But here's everything else. Emails, notes, even a draft post we wrote for TikTok. You deserve to see it all. I took the phone. That night, I read everything. And in the drafts, I found something Celeste had never sent. A video, titled, If I Back Out. It was her, crying, speaking to the camera, a week before the party. She said, I don't know if I can do it. I don't hate him. I've just been pushed and pushed by my family. But if I call it off, they'll destroy me too. I watched it twice. For the first time, I saw fear. Not cruelty, not glee, fear. The next morning, I asked her one question. Did you ever love me? She said, yes. I just forgot how to act like it. By Wednesday, the town was buzzing. Not about me, but about them. The Whitmore women, once Collierville's picture-perfect elite, were now whispered about in coffee shops and wine bars. Everyone knew bits and pieces. An eviction here, a business complaint there, a messy breakup gone public. But no one knew everything. No one but me. Celeste spent her days pacing the house, eating almost nothing, barely sleeping. I caught her more than once standing outside the nursery room we'd never filled. Then came the knock. It was Delilah. Not with tears this time. With papers. She tried to hand me a document. I am filing for conservatorship over Celeste. She's clearly not in her right mind. You're exploiting her grief. That baby, if it exists, deserves better. I laughed. You mean the daughter you led into a betrayal circus and now want custody of my child for leverage? She blinked. You think this is over? That this little war ends with you winning a few court filings? It ends, I said, when you've lost everything you used to hurt people. I didn't even take the paper. I just smiled and closed the door. Then, I made the final call to my attorney. We filed for full divorce proceedings, citing emotional abuse, conspiracy to defraud, and targeted harassment. With the restraining orders, documentation, and video evidence, my case was airtight. That night, Celeste asked to speak. She sat on the floor by the fireplace, tears sliding down her face like ash. "I deserve everything," she said. "But I'm scared. Not of losing the house. Not even the divorce. I'm scared of becoming my mother." I said nothing. Then she reached in her pocket and placed something on the coffee table. Her wedding ring. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," she said, "but I'm asking you to protect the part of me that's still real. If this baby is yours, he or she deserves at least one parent who doesn't lie." I nodded. No promises. Just silence. Thursday morning, I filed for exclusive property ownership. By Friday, the court granted it, since her name had never touched a single document. That same day, a manila envelope arrived at my door. Inside, a notarized confession from Celeste. Every detail of Operation Exit Ray, every message, every dollar spent, every role played by each family member, written, signed, and witnessed. She said it was her final gift, her way of making peace with the truth. And the kicker? She voluntarily agreed to full custody rights to be determined after a paternity test. But before I could decide what to do, the test results arrived. Celeste was telling the truth. It was mine. The moment I held the paternity results in my hands, something shifted. Celeste was pregnant with my child. There was no longer a clean break. No walking away unscathed. A new life was tethered to mine, and it came from the same woman who had plotted to destroy me. But now I had the power, and I was about to use it. Saturday morning, the same day Celeste once planned my eviction party, I threw a different kind of celebration. A press release. I drafted a personal statement and sent it to the local paper, several business newsletters, and a parenting blog Celeste used to freelance for. No names, no slander, just truth. A man's marriage sabotaged by in-laws. An attempted eviction filmed for social media. A quiet software developer who used documentation, patience, and the law to protect himself and rebuild. And at the center, a child, soon to be born into chaos. The story exploded. People guessed who it was within hours. And when screenshots began leaking in Facebook groups, one Celeste sisters had once proudly posted, the entire town turned. Lacey's job prospects vanished. Ivy's catering reputation became a joke. Delilah? The IRS officially froze her accounts pending criminal investigation. Her home was auctioned by the end of the month. And Celeste? She left. She knew she couldn't stay. Not in Collierville. Not in that house. She moved in with a cousin 3 towns over. We finalized the divorce quietly, with full custody to me, visitation determined by counseling. But before she left, she came to see me. One last time. No muck-up. No pretense. Just her in a duffel bag. "I never loved anyone the way I loved you," she said. "But I also never hated myself as much as I did when I was with you. Not because of you, but because of the way they made me see you." I didn't answer. Then she said, "You won, Ray." And I replied, "No. I survived. You just lost." She nodded, left her keys, and walked away. 3 months later, my daughter was born. I named her Grace. Not after anyone. Just after the thing I never got but gave anyway. I raise her alone. I tell her stories about truth, strength, and boundaries. She'll grow up knowing her father fought not just for revenge, but for peace. And Celeste, she sends letters. Once a month. I read them. I don't respond. Maybe one day I will. But not yet. Because every time I pass that storage unit where they hid my life, I remember their plan. They called it Operation Exit Ray. Well, Ray's still here. And now, they're the ones locked out.